Ladies and gentlemen, it's currently June 2026, and two of the most important talking points on an international level are being discussed. The first, the World Cup, obviously. And the second, will Magnus Carlsen return to the form that we have seen him compete at for 15 years? Over the last few months, he has not performed up to par, and it's not just in classical chess, it's also in rapid. In the recently concluded Norway Chess Tournament, he lost 3 games in a row. In the World Team Rapid Championship, he lost 4 games in a row, something that he has not done in 23 years. And now we begin the World Team Blitz Championship. And this man was like, y'all must have forgot. Y'all must have forgot. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through, spoiler alert, 11 Magnus Carlsen games. I mean, boys and girls, we really hit the jackpot today. 11 Magnus Carlsen games. Then I will give you an update about a bunch of other games being played. Then we will look at who plays in the knockouts and so on and so forth. It's a team format. They all play everybody. In the first game, Magnus was paired against Peng Hongi, or maybe Hongchi, from China. Untitled 2300 rated player. What a boss. Magnus opened up with e4, and my man went for a Vienna. He went for a Vienna. He must have studied the Gotham e4 course yesterday. Knight c6, but Magnus doesn't play bishop c4. He plays g3. I really wonder, like, how does Magnus choose his openings? How did he show up and go, I want to play a Vienna today? All right. G6, bishop g2. They both develop. And in this particular Vienna, you know, white can try to play this move f4 and go for a same side king side attack. Magnus does it like this. I have never seen anybody play like this before. His opponent here, just for the memes, could have copied him every single move. But he decided to castle because he probably thought copying him was silly. And now Magnus goes h4. Dude, he's playing this like a bullet game. I mean, this is the exact same way I play when I play 1-minute chess, you know, just throw the h-pawn and hope for the best. The opponent ends up giving away the g5 square, plays bishop e6, and now Magnus immediately jumps in with knight to d5. He's putting pressure on the pin piece, but more than anything, he's going to build behind this. He's going to play maybe c3, maybe put his other knight there. Obviously, knight f6 is looking really juicy at any moment, and black gives away the bishop pair. This is a massive concession. So just the slightest amount of pressure at the 2300 level from the goat, you immediately try to clarify the position. This transformation is just bad. So this transformation of the game is simply bad for white, sorry, for black, not for white. It's bad because you have lost 2 relatively active pieces, but on top of that, you have given white the bishop pair, and on top of that, there is a concrete reason that this is bad, and that concrete reason is the move pawn to g4. So this is a moment where, you know, superseding concepts exist in chess. This is something that I talk about quite frequently. If you're a beginner, you can turn your brain off if it's not off already. If you're intermediate or advanced, superseding concepts, basically what I mean is, you know, we think, oh, we need to castle the king, etc. But sometimes there is a more necessary thing you have to do. And right now you are attacking the pawn in front of the king. Black probably has to react here. He lines up like this, and Magnus just takes. He is completely unafraid of the direct attack on the king, as the queen will be hanging as well. Bishop to f6 is a nice tricky move by the opponent. Nice little tactic, which Magnus just ignores by sidestepping the king off of the line. Magnus is up a pawn. Pawn takes. Queen h5 is there. Black has to go knight f5. White brings the queen out. His next move is going to be bishop e4, hg, queen h3, and queen h7 mate in some particular order. There is bishop to e4. There's queen to h3. Okay, he plays king g2, just one more move being made. And he's going to line up the Alekhine's gun, the triple battery on this file. Or maybe he's not even going to need it. All right, fine, the king hides back there. Queen h7, rook g1. Absolutely merciless, absolutely ruthless assault on the strong opponent. Bishop takes g6. He doesn't even take the queen. Now he does. Bishop takes e8. He took absolutely everything from Hongi Peng in this first game. But, of course, he's a 500-point favorite. But, you know, it's kind of incredible that some of us would give up like an organ to defeat a 2300. Not me. I have done that before, but maybe some of you. And for Magnus, this is a warm-up. This is the warm-up jumping jacks and running, you know, a couple of laps around the gym to get to the rest of the workout. Just absolutely merciless beatdown. Yeah, tough. Really tough. And Kind of interesting how all it took was just 2 bad piece trades. Man, chess is tough. Chess is tough. A lot of you are just blundering queens in one move. You know, chess is really, it's not easy. All right, in this next round, Magnus stepped up a little bit. He played Greek Grandmaster Nicholas Theodoro, who is very good. I'm going to start closing out some of these so that my RAM saves a bit of space on the computer. And Magnus was like, hey, it worked last time. Let's just do it again. Now, his opponent in this game played a better line. He played Bishop C5. Now, I actually have a course on the Vienna. Some of you might not know this. I made a course on the Vienna, right? The Vienna Gambit. But another course that I made is on the G3 Vienna. And this particular variation where you play like this, and then sometimes, like I said, you play for a very different type of Vienna. The Vienna has many layers. The opponent played C6, which is normal, and then tried to play this move D5, just immediately attacking the center of the board. Magnus took, and played D4. This is not going to be the same type of game that we just saw. There is not going to be a merciless hunt on the opponent's king. This is going to be much more positional. Black has an isolated pawn. An isolated pawn should be blockaded and targeted by the pieces. The person who has the isolated pawn wants to use active piece play to counterbalance it. He does that. He takes this, and I mean, it just looks like you're going to take this pawn on the next move. It's completely overwhelmed. But now he gets knight c6. The queen has to move. And black is a moment away from equalizing here. He needed to go queen to d7, which would have defended the bishop, and prepared bishop to h3 to trade off white's bishop. Instead, he went here. And this move allows queen h4, and now you have a serious problem because bishop g5 is going to come in. The knight is also, it's overloaded. This is an overload tactic. Knight takes d5 is now a threat, and if you push the pawn there, that actually doesn't stop anything. That doesn't stop my idea at all. I'm going to play knight to d5 on the next move, and black is faced with a very serious dilemma. If you play knight takes d5, I will take the bishop. That was the problem with putting the bishop there, and then you will play 2 bishops versus 2 knights, except the bishops are perched on top of rooftops and sniping, which is exactly what they should be doing. If you move the bishop out of the way, I will immediately apply pressure to the pin piece with a totally winning position. So Theodoro is in a worse nightmare situation, no pun intended. He is 1 minute and 20 down on the clock, and he is playing with knights against bishops, and these knights just aren't doing anything. It's like a Hikaru joke from like 5 years ago, D's knights. Knight b4, I mean, this is protected. The bishop is going to come here. The rooks are going to come to the middle. It's just over. Let's see the maestro go to work. A4. And now a very nice move, queen b5. How many of us would play the move queen b5? This is a nice move. This should honestly, I'm going to throw queen b5 as a bonus exercise into my next book. How about that? A4, queen b5, threatening a queen trade, threatening to infiltrate on that side of the board, and just rooks to the middle. Theodoro puts the queen back here so not to trade it. Doesn't matter. Bishop h6, when you have a positional advantage, there will be tactics that appear. He's going to pick up a pawn, rook e7, rook b7, and the queen is going to be humiliated, forced to go to the edge of the board, queen a8. We're 8 minutes into this recap, and Magnus has bludgeoned these two people. Like, he clearly did some sort of meditation, between the Rapid and the Blitz, and so far, it hasn't been close. Now, he hasn't played as elite of competition. So, you know that clip? There's a famous clip on YouTube, the final boss of chess. It's like some sort of Russian TV show where there's a 3-year-old boy and the host can't play against him. So they bring in Anatoly Karpov, like one of the greatest chess players of all time. So, Magnus, all right, you warmed up with the 2300 and, okay, Nicholas Theodoro is good, but he's not that good, right? He's not. So, let's just sit Magnus down against Anand. His third opponent is straight up Vishy Anand, all right? His team won a couple of games, and this one doesn't go as well, all right? This one definitely doesn't go as well. Anand, multiple-time world champion. He has spent his entire career beating bozos that wanted to play the Taimanov Sicilian against him. I mean, the amount of games that Vishy has probably won on the white side of a Sicilian, probably more games than you've won in your life. Knight f6, castles, bishop e7, and f4. And I mean, look, white just wants to attack. There's some lines. White even plays the third pawn forward. Magnus plays d6, king h1. And I mean, this is vintage Vishy. I mean, he's barely thinking here. Queen e1, queen g3. This position has been reached a bajillion times. Clearly, white has very bad intentions. And actually, if I had to pick the only weakness that Magnus Carlsen has, it is probably being attacked. Nobody likes to be attacked in chess. People are bad defenders. They are bad at sensing danger, all right? Like combative, aggressive positions where, you have really complicated fights. Magnus plays rook b8. He thinks he has enough time, And there is Vichy. I mean, he plays a move that looks like a ghost move. The idea is that after pawn takes e5, white can actually just take on e5. White can just play this move. And, you know, in this position, Magnus goes from 2:14 on the clock. He spends 30 seconds on this move, and when Vichy hits him with e5, Magnus he didn't see this move. He didn't see this move at all, because he spends a minute taking the pawn. He probably just thought, like, am I lost? And the point is, you can't take this pawn. You can't take it with the queen, because then I would kick the defense out like this first. So queen takes, knight takes, then the queens are facing each other. And when you go here, this knight takes the bishop with a check. It's a Zwischenzug. Queen takes, knight takes, queen takes, knight takes, bishop check, king goes here, pawn takes g3. Vichy would get 2 extra pieces. Magnus has to go here, and Vichy sacrifices the rook! Rook f6, an incredible bulldozer of a move. Bishop f6, Magnus is on the ropes. Vichy has dropped Magnus Carlsen with a vicious overhand right. I am talking Justin Gaethje, Ilia Topuria. Actually, he really hit him with an uppercut, but Vichy just throws the bomb square on the jaw, and Magnus is on the ground. He is on the ground, he is scrambling. 36 seconds to 158. He nearly quadruples the amount of time that he has, and Vichy plays bishop to f4. Magnus is stuck in an eternal pin. And rook e1, rook d1, the knight is gonna, put pressure here. What does he do? Bishop c6, 16 seconds on the clock, and it is plus 1.2. Now, Anand has to take, the evaluation bar is only gonna go higher and higher. It's like you're on a gondola, and it's taking you to the top of the Alps. All right, queen takes c6, Vichy takes this. Vichy now has a knight and a bishop for a rook, which is a substantial advantage. Magnus plays rook fd8, Vichy plays bishop d3. He's not done with Magnus, the attack is not finished. Magnus plays queen d6, Vichy goes for the queen trade. He is more than happy to enter this position. He's not gonna lose this. All right, knight to e4, rook c6, Magnus playing every move with just limited time remaining. Absolute domination here, expert master class from Anand. Okay, he's allowed a little bit of counterplay, but now he's going for these pawns, but suddenly Magnus is back in the game. Never count this man out. Never count this man out in any endgame. If he clears off these pawns on this side of the board, this 4-on-2 is gonna be decisive, all right? Pawn takes, Vichy takes on b5, Magnus takes on c3. All Magnus has to do is clear off this pawn, and he's actually gonna be safe. Anand is also panicking here a little bit. It's equal, right? You were just completely winning. So now you're like, what am I doing? What have I done with the position? Knight back to d3, rook b3, knight f4. It's a scramble, but here come the pawns. Here come the pawns and the rooks. Rook c2. And this is totally different because now it's these two pieces and these two pawns versus a rook and 4. They just can't hang. These two pawns are going to walk in, and Magnus Carlsen is going to do Magnus Carlsen things. Vichy Anand loses on time here, but it doesn't even matter because f4 is there. You're going to trade off, and a rook and 2 pawns will defeat a knight and a bishop any day of the week. Folks, it was +3 in this position. If Vichy Anand, instead of a4, which allowed rook c2, went c4 and simply launched the bishop at these pawns with pawn takes and bishop takes, he was winning in this position. This was a fork. He had Magnus on the ropes. Vichy is in his mid-50s. This man is playing this unbelievable elite chess, but everybody ends up suffering deep in the time trouble. Everybody's nervous system gives out 107 to 12 seconds. Vichy had Magnus completely and utterly on the ropes. He sacrificed a rook against him, sacrificed a pawn. I mean, this was vintage Vichy Anand. Oh, but he comes up short, and Magnus gets the win in the endgame. 3 out of 3. Very different game than playing against the other people. Now, they were like, all right, Magnus, you passed that test. Now we're gonna give you a little 2,500 Chinese Grandmaster treatment. Rui Gao, I don't even know who this is. I'm not even exaggerating. China has a bunch of Grandmasters who are very young now. They're like they have Hao and Zhu, who I don't think is gonna be in this recap. But they also have a lot of Grandmasters that go to university and then don't play chess much anymore. So yeah, I mean, China prints Grandmasters, but now, in this game, Magnus decides, all right, that last game was really goofy, so let's play e4, c5, h3, bro. It's really hard to advocate for this man as a role model in the world of chess when he plays e4, c5, h3. This is like the crap that you see at 1300 in the chess.com pool, right? You study the Sicilian defense, maybe you buy a course, you learn the dragon, you learn how to play against the Smith-Morra, you learn how to play against the Alpin, and you get e4, c5, h3, all right? From some dude who's 9,000 miles away from you, and he plays every move in 2 seconds. e4, c5, h3, it's the average experience playing chess. d6, bishop b5 check, and then he just trades. And you know what's incredible about this? It's actually gonna work. He ended up trading his light squared bishop, and immediately his opening makes sense. He's replaced a bunch of the pawns on the light squares, so black's bishop is going to be out of the game. And the way that Magnus is going to play this now is knight c3, knight e2, bishop out, maybe f4, maybe g4, f5. Let's see. So he plays knight c3, knight e2. He no longer has a light squared bishop. Black actually plays f5, very dynamic move. Knight g3 and f4. And even though, according to the computer, black is better, it's not really easy to understand that. Like, you have these very stagnant pawns, and sometimes the best move is c4, just sacrificing one of them. Sometimes it's d5, but if you play d5, queen e6 is vicious. So you kind of want to defend your position. And black didn't do anything wrong. He brought his queen and centralized his rook. And Magnus plays queen e6 check and trades the queens, and he's just better. He just has a better position because he is threatening not just bishop takes pawn, he's threatening rook takes bishop. So for example, bishop f7, rook takes here. And what's going to happen is you're going to end up a pawn with the worst pawn structure of all time. b3, these pawns are stuck forever. They're never going to move forward. Next is knight e4, knight f5, rook f5, rook c5, rook c6. Awful, just awful. And this is what Magnus does to people. Rook e1, he puts pressure. Bishop d6 is the best move. It's a fork. Rook e8, he's up a pawn. And now, just watch as the endgame maestro, who is up a pawn, converts this position, dances around his opponent. Look at this, a4, freezing the pawn over here. He just trades, gives a check, wins the second pawn, and wins the third pawn. And he is completely and utterly winning this game. It's not even close. The knight is going to move around. b4, knight e4, knight c5. Bro, like, this was the middle game position. It was just like a rich position, and he just went straight down the middle and won this game like it was child's play. I mean, just so easy. 136 to 5 seconds. Now his opponent is no Anand, but that's 4 wins in a row. All right, y'all must have forgot. 4 wins in a row. Next game, Dmitry Andreikin. Andreikin's one of the best Rapid and Blitz players in the world. He had several deep runs in the World Cup. I'm pretty sure he played the candidates once. I don't, either as the wild card or no, he was the World Cup, champ. And then e4, c5, yo. How is this man doing this against people? Oh my goodness, his opponent goes g6. All right, so Magnus is not going to get the same type of game, but we have kind of an advanced French, but not really. This is a very unique type of game. In fact, the move h3 is very useful because bishop g4 is no longer going to pin the knight should you play knight f3. In many ways, the move h3 makes total sense. So black goes bishop g7. Magnus plays bishop b5 check. He trades the bishop and he castles. And now it's going to be a fascinating question of what's going to happen with these pieces. Like, how are you going to set up the pawns, the knight, the bishop, etc.? So, rook e1, all right? Hold on a second. Okay, d3. So Andreikin commits the pawn here. He doesn't want white to develop the pieces. Knight a3, queen b3, queen c4. I mean, I don't know how we're going to win that pawn. We're not. We're just going b4. We're trying to advance on that side of the board. Magnus is just straight up playing the game without a bishop, by the way. I don't know how that bishop's ever going to participate. Rook c8. We trade on c5. Andreikin goes for some counterplay on the queen side. And now we go e6. Oh my. Hanging queen. Hanging queen. Black goes here. For the second game in a row, Magnus is trading queens on the e6 square, rook c5 and rook e7. White is a pawn up. The position is objectively equal, but it's very difficult to play. I mean, it's not clear at all how black is supposed to advance. This pawn is doing a nice job. This pawn is both an asset and a liability. It's not really clear. Knight c4, and it's soon going to be realized it's probably a liability. 24 moves into the game, Magnus offers a trade of bishops. And then he's probably going to win this pawn with either the rook or the knight. The king is always getting off the back rank here. Just look at the time, by the way. 140 to 15. Now, this is the Magnus Carlsen that I know. Not the one that's down 40 minutes on time in classical chess on the 10th move. Not the one that's down 1 minute to 6 in every rapid game and being outplayed in time scrambles. But he has to avoid time scrambles. Knight d5 is a very nice move. You can't take it because white would take your knight on c6. Knight takes b4. And slowly but surely, the pawn on d3 will fall. on the 31st move of the game. Andrejkin is going for some counterplay, but it's just not there. Rook b7, knight g4. The king is hunted out into the open. Rook d5 is mate because the king has to go here, and then rook f7 seals the deal. Rook here, king f4, rook f7. Magnus Carlsen wins with checkmate on the board, and that's 5 wins in a row. That is 5 wins in a row. He's 5-0. 5-0, 5 wins. I mean, there's no better way to get your mojo back. Did I load 2 games against Andrejkin? Because he didn't play him twice. All right, I'm going to go to the next game. All right. So Magnus won another game and another game and another game. And then he played, wait a minute. I don't want to get this wrong. Yeah. Let's keep going. So Magnus played Manuel Peña Gomez, a grandmaster from Spain. Yeah, and this one was one-way traffic. This one was absolutely vicious. It was a Dutch defense where the opponent didn't play d4, so black can play e5. And yeah, the way Magnus wins this game just like develops the pieces. This central lock, d4, e4, already is bad for white because the light-squared bishop is just going to be out of the game. You can do this, but you are absolutely and utterly walled in. c6 is coming, bishop c7, and actually black can just start a same-side assault. Like f3 also weakens the position, and it was quite clear in this game that it felt like white was a little bit shook to be playing Magnus. There was a fork blundered with 15 seconds on the clock, knight f1, and just brutal. Rook, just another triple stack here, kind of an Alekhine's gun. There comes the same side attack, and it's just over. Rook e3 check. Rook takes check, then you pick up the queen. 2400 Grandmaster, beaten like a drum. And then the last game that I will show you is against this international master from China, 2356. This opening was very funny. So it was a Scandinavian. You don't always see Magnus playing a Scandinavian defense. I would play the Scandinavian against Magnus. He plays one of the most testing lines where this knight jumps and then hits the bishop. And then he goes crazy. G4 and F4 from Magnus. All right, this is the sign of a person that has won every game of the day. Queen E2. The computer's absolutely hating it. H5's a bad move. Hates all of these moves. White sacrifices a pawn here because the queen is here, the bishop is here, and the king is in the middle of the board. G5 is a mistake. You should play pawn takes F5. So from the opening, black just has an advantage. This is absolutely wrong. Black is now up a minute, and black is just better. And he's going to be outplaying Magnus. Bishop g5, nice move, hits this. You got to take. You can't take the queen. bc4 is coming. Yeah, it's black who has the edge. He's going to try to put his knight on d5, play rook b8 and checkmate, c3. But can you actually beat Magnus when he is in the zone and he has clearly won all the games that he has been playing today? You go for an attack. The attack doesn't work. Now you are lower on time than Magnus. And you try to get a little desperate here. It's not going to work out. He freezes your pieces. And slowly but surely trades your queen, and you are left in a position where these pawns are going to be a major problem. All 3 of those pawns are going to be a major problem. You're also down to your last 12 seconds, and of course, Magnus getting the job done in an endgame. The pawns are rolling. Black loses on time here, but it didn't really matter. This game was just going to be a long and brutal process of Magnus pushing these pawns, and it doesn't work out. Now, Magnus went 8-0, and he was just about to go 9-0. He was playing Chinese Grandmaster Xu Shangyu. He played another kind of like, well, he didn't play a 5 in this game, so it wasn't quite the same opening. Very, taking some risks in this position, very aggressive play. And 20 moves into this game, Magnus didn't just get a completely winning position. He got, look at this, knight to d4, man. Look at this move. Hits the rook. If you take with a queen, of course, you're going to lose the rook over here. And if pawn takes, you're going to get hit with rook takes, queen takes, knight d4. Clearly, the tactical alarm bells were flowing. He played knight to b5, which threatened knight to c3. His opponent went here, and down to 16 seconds on the clock, Magnus in this position is -5. He has won every game he has played. He's won 8 games in a row, and the crushing move here is rook takes e3. And I got to tell you, it's not that difficult of a tactic, because you see queen, and you're like, knight e2 check wins this queen. if the rook doesn't defend the queen. So rook e3, it's right there. Checks, captures, threats. You combine these two ideas. And the reason rook e3 is so brutal is because you also threaten g3. It's not just about like, well, maybe my opponent's going to blunder. No, like rook e3, d4, rook here, rook e3, and this game would have been an absolute knockout. Not only does Magnus not find it, not only does he not find it, he gets in a mutual time scramble with his opponent. He is winning in this endgame, okay? Like, white's pawns cannot move. Have you ever seen an endgame where a person has 5 pawns and physically cannot push any of them? It's one of the most miserable endgames you've ever seen. And suddenly, not only is white back in the game, white is actually creating winning chances because he has a legitimate outside pass pawn. And if you watch the video here, it's a time scramble. And this has been Magnus hasn't won a time scramble in quite some time. All right, he has had dominant advantages most of today. And before you know it, his opponent has only 1 pawn remaining, is creating a lot of tricks, and Magnus, with his knight hanging, hangs the knight in 1 move and just straight up loses. So he's not invincible. He was right there. 9-0 was on the doorstep. Just straight up beat everybody. It wasn't the most impressive lineup relative to previous lineups. It's not like he played 27 and 2800s the entire day. But he doesn't get the knockout and he ends up losing. So he goes 8 out of 9. And you know how much his rating changed? 0.1. Now, the way that this tournament works is that was all pool play, and now there is a knockout segment. So his team played against the Indonesian team, and he played against Susanto Megaranto, who's a very strong grandmaster. Not as strong as Magnus, but so we're going to get 2 more Magnus games. I told you we were going to get about 11 of them. Hey, yo, shout out to my boy, because I love this line. I think Magnus was inspired by me. B3, bishop b2 against the French is really good. I played a nice game against Julian Song in this line in our head-to-head match, and now the line d4 and c3 is very tricky. And then you play knight to d2, a3. You don't play knight f3 just yet. You want to maybe play f4 in some positions. a3, I think, is an inaccuracy because you need to go knight to d2. Magnus improvises. It doesn't matter. He still gets a very dominant position, and this is why this is so good. Black just can't break out of the center. And if the French defense is played like this and the opponent can't break out of the center, here's what's going to happen. If white can successfully accomplish g4, white is going to win the game. That's literally it. Black does not have sufficient counterplay on the other side of the board. It's just not there. In the French, Black needs to open the position. He can't play it like this. And Magnus, well, there it is. That is absolutely exactly how you should play this position. Black goes here. That is not a good move. He opens up the H-file, but you can't really blame him. It's impossible to play this position. Magnus takes on F5, takes on C5, and the worst news is that this is actually going to open up as well. Now Black is down a pawn and has a bad position, and the whole center is being ripped apart. Hey, by the way, play this against the French. People are not going to know what to do. And yeah, just completely, like, when have you ever seen a position this good? Black's position is horrible. Horrible. Long castle for absolutely no reason. E6 straight down the line, and there's even lines you can sack on H7. It is probably the best position Magnus has had in like 3 months. Rook D7. He did this for me. He did this for me. I mean, I refuse to believe this man played Rook D7 and did not think the rook in his head. I'm going to ask him that the next time that I see him. I'm going to be like, yo, when you played Rook D7, were you thinking the rook? Might be slightly parasocial of me. Absolutely vicious. One more game for you. This time, Magnus with the black pieces. They play a best of 2. I think that's how they do it. Yeah, this one, very chill game. You know, white has to win, so he's going to have to take some risk. Actually, it's Magnus who takes the risks. Pushes pawns in front of his own king. Bishop g4. Knight takes. He's just up a pawn. He's up a pawn. And unlike the game previous, yeah, he's not going to screw this up. He can very easily go for this outside pawn. And on top of that, the way that black can win this very easily is b6 or like rook b8, a6, b5. And all you have to do is trade this pawn. The rook behind the pass pawn, you push the pawn there, white's rook gets stuck, the king walks over, and your king walks there. That's how you win this. Another way to win this is just positional domination, like this. And ultimately what's going to happen is at some moment, you know, the king is going to wander over, and there you go. There's your pawn running away. And yeah, the king just joins, king b2, a2, a1, while this pawn is stopped. And Magnus finishes with 10 out of 11. That's how he did. All right. It's Blitz. It wasn't the strongest field. But the chess world is better if Magnus Carlsen is winning. All right, that's just the truth. Unless you're like the top 10 players of the world. Unless you're Hikaru, Fabi, Nodjerbek, Sendarov, Keimer, Erigaisi, Gukesh, Prague, Hans Niemann, all the guys from the previous generation. But for us, it's better if he's winning. And obviously, we will cover that. Now, I will cover a couple of more highlights. So in this first round matchup between Indonesia and the Magnus team, this young player, actually, I don't even know if he's a young player anymore. He might be like 17, 18, from Indonesia, Satria Dutta, played against Wesley So and had a very scrappy game. So it was a Vienna, and Wesley, played pretty decently from the opening. By the way, look at the confidence that Black is playing with. Like, I mean, he's barely using any time. Wesley got a dominant advantage in this game because he's 2800 caliber in Blitz. So I think by like the 30th move, he had built up a winning position right here. Just totally crushing, +2. But Satria did not give up, kept on fighting. 4 seconds for Black, 19 for White. Knight G8, excellent cocoon defense with the knight. Wesley regained a dominant advantage here a couple of moves later. 2 connected pass pawns. Look at this. Most people would resign here against the guy like Wesley So, but Satria goes for some counterplay with his knight and his queen. Rook D8. Wesley blunders a backwards queen check and loses his pawn and completely tilts. Completely. Like, he is no longer winning. And this just shows you everybody is vulnerable in time trouble. H5, Satria creating winning chances out of nowhere because he has the knight and he has the queen. He's looking for some play. Queen E5, King G7. It's probably a draw, but Wesley is not regaining his confidence here. Bishop E4 he plays, and King H6. Wesley played this move because after knight takes E4, Queen E4, it would be a queen endgame and it would simply be a draw. But after King H6, he now has to trade queens and he is losing. This is a losing endgame because White's king is so passive, and this knight is just going to wander to this side of the board and help the pawn promote. You cannot stop this. King F3, King G3, or you can just go win this pawn. And in an unbelievable turn of events, the young man from Indonesia takes down Wesley So, a 460-point underdog. That was an incredible upset from the same exact match. Now, a couple of people who had incredible days for their teams. Nodjerbek Abdusattorov should have been player of the day. I don't think he was, but he went 10.5 out of 11, I think. I think he won just a ridiculous number of games. Here was one that he won against Alireza Firouzja. Firouzja went for a Petrov, and Nodjerbek played this bishop middle game where he just applied pressure. Black sacrificed that pawn. White doesn't take it. He wants to take it on his own terms like this. He wants to take it first and have the queen protecting. Take. This is very cute. If you take this, you get mated. Somehow that wasn't blundered in one move. And Abdusattorov basically did his best Magnus Carlsen impression. He won this game completely effortlessly. He has an extra pawn. The rook is dominating on the 7th rank, putting pressure on everything and cutting off the king. Alireza has 8 seconds to 137. So Nodjerbek is just going to move the pawns forward, threaten a checkmate, and then end up winning a second pawn and winning the game. And that's how you're going to win this. You know, you're going to walk in, and in the inevitable doom that is coming, Black is going to have to lose a second pawn. And once he loses a second pawn, well, he hasn't lost the second pawn yet, but he will. You're going to promote your F pawn. So now you are winning. Okay, he never even took this pawn. He just managed to win this game without doing it. Absolutely dominant win. And there was another really nice win. The evaluation bars for Nodjerbek when he wins, they had no drama. There was no chaos. There was no, back and forth and then blunders and time trouble. Nodjerbek is also one of the fastest players in the world. And when he smells blood in the water, look at this. Damages the structure. Erigaisi being outplayed in a French defense. We saw that happen to Susanto as well. Nodjerbek is up a pawn, and he is just about to go ham on this side of the board. Like, everybody is just going to go over there. Rook H6, Queen E2. He's trying to create some counterplay. Arjun, he's one of the messiest players. He's trying to sacrifice material. He's threatening mate. F4 disconnects everything. These pieces are completely dominated. You're going to go King H1 and put both rooks on these files. Yeah, White is just never, ever, ever worried about the counterplay. Second game in a row, 130 to 18 for Black. 130 to 13 seconds. Nordirbeck is so fast. Like, he gets people to these time differences. He has half his time remaining. 99% has been drained from the opponent. He's like a time lord. All right, that's Nordirbeck's special skill in Blitz. And we don't see the top players play a lot of Blitz. There's just not a lot of major Blitz events. There's like 5 in a year where they play Blitz against each other. World Blitz Championship, this tournament now. There's some like, you know, there's the Grand Chess Tour that has Blitz events, and there's the online events. And the online events don't count for your FIDE rating. Absolutely vicious. Nordirbeck went 8.5 out of 9, and then I think went 2-0 in the pool stage in the knockout. So Nordirbeck won against 2520, 2800, 2500, 2800, 2450, 2600, 2430, and 2400. After this performance, Nordirbeck, I think, is the second highest rated player in the world in Blitz, or third. He gained like 40 rating points, like 30 rating points today. Yeah, just incredible from him. And he is, and Uzbekistan will play Team Magnus, WR Chess. They will play them on the last day of this event. Hans Niemann had a good day. Here is a really nice game that Hans Niemann played against Ding Liren, but this is the Magnus Propaganda channel, so we're not going to cover everybody for 30 minutes. That is only half a joke. Nobody's watching this far anyway. If you are, you know, tell me your favorite color, and that's how we will test how many people actually made it this far. Comment, seriously, just write a comment. Be like, I'm still here, all right? I'm curious. What made this game really impressive from Hans Niemann is he got a resignation out of Ding Liren in a position that is completely peaceful. Like, it's equal. 2 bishops, 2 knights, 2 rooks, a queen, 6 pawns. But it's +5. Because white is just going to go knight g4, knight g5, and mate. Like, black just has to surrender. There is no way of defending the king. Kind of nuts. And Ding resigned. Brutal. And Prague had a very nice day. I think he had a very nice day. He ended up defeating Vishy Anand, and I think his team made it to the quarterfinals. He played a Sveshnikov Sicilian against Anand. You know, Vishy has spent his career beating these openings. But unlike the Magnus game, where Vishy got a very, you know, dynamic position. By the way, I don't know what's happening with Prague's clock. It's a, you know, broadcast malfunction. Nobody has managed to fix chess broadcasting despite the game skyrocketing in popularity by a bajillion%. Knight c4, rook c1. And yeah, Prague in this game didn't allow Vishy the dynamic game that he got against Magnus. He cut off his knight from the remainder of the board. He's going to win this pawn. He's going to try to promote his a-pawn. And yeah, that's... The game gets decided with a check and a queen trade, and the knight is going to move, and Vishy just can't stop this pawn. Vishy resigns here because even though, like, the king could try to get back into the game like this, you're just going to move the knight, and this is lost. A3, and, you know, even though you could stop the pawn, you won't, because you're totally dominated, and you can't leave the corner. You can play b5, I will just take, and Prague wins a very nice game. He defeats Vishy. And the playoffs, the quarterfinal will look like this. This is straight from social media. It's a little bit cut off, but Magnus's team... By the way, I love, like, the smiling, you know, Magnus. This had to have been in the Blitz. There's no way he was smiling. Or maybe this is from last year. There's no way he was smiling in the Rapid. So Team Magnus is going to play Team Uzbekistan, which is very exciting. Team China, Dragon Chilling with Ding Liren and Ju and Jun, etc. is going to play Mr. Birdie and Friends. I don't know who the heck this is. I think a Wonder Liang is on this team. Endgame, that's Hans Niemann's team is going to play MGD1. That's Erigaisi's team. Hexamine, Firuja's team is going to play Chess Gurukul, which is the team of Prague. So, representation from all over. We're going to have Magnus, Sindarov, and Nordirbeck. I have no idea who's on Mr. Birdie, but I think a wonder. Ding, and also Ju and Jun, Erigaisi, Hans, Firuja, and Prague. I mean, great representation in the quarterfinals. These are all the best players in the world. And yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see. Today, Magnus did extremely well. It was good to see him back, you know, crushing people. Everybody was beating everybody. Nordirbeck had a fantastic day, but we'll see if he and Sindarov can lead Team Uzbekistan to glory or not. And tomorrow this event will conclude, I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm wrong, unless tomorrow it doesn't conclude, but I'm pretty sure it concludes tomorrow. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.